Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday, and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I'm your host, Stacy Brown.
And peace and love, everybody. I'm your co-host Niele Anderson, and today we have news about SNAP benefits being on the chopping block. But because it's Friday, we have headlines about Snoop Dogg, D'Angelo, Aaliyah, Brandy, Monica, and so much more. So let's get it started, Stacy.
And what else? I'm asking the question of what kind of Jim Crow stuff are we expecting today? Is something going to happen that's Jim Crow related? But what does I was going to say publisher again, but what does our producer have for us this morning?
Very quickly say when this country began, the whole idea of what America was this every man a king notion. That any white man who came to this country with just the sweat of his brow and belief in himself could essentially operate like a king without the actual king of England interfering or taxing him or telling him what to do. That each person could be a kingdom, and every white man in his kingdom were the women who were effectively property, the slaves who were literally property, and the indigenous who you could just take their land the same way that the land's being taken from the Palestinians, which is why I think some of these Americans love it, without them having to have any permission or any consent, right? The notion you could take whatever land you want, take whatever you want, tell your women what to do, treat them like property, treat blacks like property. This world worked really well for white men because even if they were poor, they understood that they had unlimited rights. And that even if they had nothing economically, they could kill literally any black man they wanted, and they could actually exercise their anger and their rage and their discontent by harming people of color because it was effectively legal to kill them. And so what you had were two kinds of white men. You had a white man at the top who had the education, the money, the opportunity, with no competition. There was never going to be a black person going for the same job. They weren't allowed. There was never going to be a black person running against you for office. They weren't allowed. You had full freedom. And then you had the broke white people who didn't have anything economically, but when they really got discontented, they could just kill Emmett Till and let off their feelings that way. That was literally the system in the United States. And so what you have now are white men, to be blunt, who are raging against the change that was the 20th century. They said, you know what? And I'll just very quickly say,
That caption is spot on. She left. No crumbs, Niel.
Yeah, social media is very angry right now. When I turn on my social media, everybody's just going off, and it's like, I was thinking even about the content that I post, and it's like, you know, everything is not going to be hunky dory. When you have like an algorithm blocking out everything that's happening, people are just pissed off. Joy Reid is pissed off. If you look at Roland Martin, he's pissed off. If you
Mhm.
look at Angela, everybody is just pissed off. And they're spitting out content. And I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't want to hear about that." But it's like, we got to balance out the algorithm because it's a lot of BS. But you need to know what's happening out here.
Oh, yeah, and you can't help but to be pissed off. You find you're not gonna be nothing but if you have half of a heart, you're not gonna be anything but pissed off if you look at the news and what's going on. Now you got to find some joy. Last night, I was getting ready. I had a spiritual meeting to go to, and I got a call from like one of my favorite nieces last night, and just
Mhm,
she doesn't call often. It's not that we don't see each other much, but we
mhm,
do see each other from time to time. But she called, and first I was like, "Sorry, what's the matter?" And she was like,
mhm,
"Nothing, Uncle." She said, "I just wanted to check in on you." And we just chatted for like 20 minutes. And she's one of the most pleasant people you ever would want to know.
mhm,
Um, but you got to find your joy out.
mhm.
You're not gonna find it in the news. You're gonna find it
Right.
at home or anywhere else you might do,
Mhm.
and that
Yeah.
that's the thing. And so when when you start talking about this stuff as we do every morning, and like I said, if you have any feelings, you're gonna be pissed off
Mhm.
because this stuff could have been avoided. And I'm not saying those who
How could it have been
well,
avoided,
okay,
Stacy?
great question. It could have been avoided if people in the right positions would have done their job. And that is you can argue about all you want about Kamala Harris and this and that or whatever. If that wasn't your solution, if Joe Biden was your solution, Joe
Mhm.
Biden, the Supreme Court, and I keep landing on this, and I don't think, and I saw a couple of other people land on this too. Once the Supreme Court made its ruling Everybody, including Joe Biden, applied it
Mm.
only to Donald Trump. That ruling in which they said that you are basically king. You can do whatever you want. When that came down, Joe Biden was president of the United States. And Joe Biden and his Democratic fools, and I call them fools because they were very foolish, still decided that we got to uphold decorum. We have to do it this way, the
Mm.
right way. And Joe Biden, when his last speech before he left the White House, he did that whole break into your show type NBC, CBS, whatever, we special report. The president is addressing America from the Oval Office. And Joe Biden sat there and said, essentially, he didn't use the word dictatorship, but essentially a dictatorship was coming. He was still president of the United States. He had all that Supreme Court ruling behind him. He had all of that. He was the one that although they applied it to Trump, the Supreme Court said presidents. They didn't say Donald Trump. They knew they were shielding Donald Trump and giving him this power, but they was giving it to the current president too. It applied to the current president, which was Joe Biden. So what I'm saying is you see Donald Trump stirring up all of this with the National Guard attacking American cities and declaring this
Mhm.
emergency and about to declare martial law. Joe Biden could have done the same thing and stayed in office until whenever, and still until they could have figured this out,
Oh, I
given
thought you
us.
were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say if more people just would have voted for the lady.
No, I'm saying we went past that. We went past November, right? We went past November of last year. Kamala Harris warned you. She said what's interesting, if you go back and look at every time she said it, she said, we are not going back. And then she concluded by saying, I'm not going back. So if y'all want to go back and talking about I'm not black and don't put me in office because I'm a woman, y'all going back. But I got some money. And I got some protections. I got me a white man husband.
Yeah, but
Kamala
yeah,
Harris was set.
yeah, but yeah,
She
I
was
think,
telling you,
I,
y'all are going back, and y'all didn't listen.
yeah,
And Joe Biden sat there in all his white privilege and said, it ain't gonna affect me. So that's why when he's laying there getting his 18th chemo treatment, I'm not shedding any tears for Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't shed no tears for me. I'm just being real.
yeah, I think, yeah, all of that is true. But if folks just would have voted and voted the right way, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Well, and here's the other part of that, Niele. I still believe they did. I still believe that she won that election. I believe that wholeheartedly. So I don't think that it was about the vote. I think that they stole
Mhm.
that totally. No, I'm not telling you not to or whatever. If that's your prerogative. I'm not saying that, folks. I'm just telling you that the way that they fixed it, they tried to fix it in 2020, they figured it out. Joe Biden, Attorney General, allowed that man to escape 34 convictions and then put him back in office. They figured it out. They figured it out, Niele. And November of last year, you cannot tell me that she got trounced by this guy. Anybody, you could have ran and beat this guy. I'm
And
done.
there you have it. There you have
I'm
it.
done. I'm done. And speaking of, ProPublica has found that immigration agents have detained at least 170 American citizens since Donald Trump has unleashed the military against U.S. citizens. People have been, according to ProPublica, they've been beaten, they have been dragged and held for days without charges. Veterans, pregnant women, and even children have been caught up in these raids, have been beaten and dragged and held, many targeted simply for looking Latino. Justice Brett Kavanaugh claimed to have assured Americans that they'd be promptly let go, but that promise has proven totally untrue. In fact, one man's real ID was dismissed. He showed ICE his real ID. Remember, they kept clamoring, Niele, for you to get this real ID. You got to get real ID. Well, he
Mhm.
showed them his real ID, and the ICE thug said it was fake. And another
Um,
veteran was disappeared for 3 days while his family desperately searched for him. And the ACLU is continuing to warn that when race becomes reason enough for detention, any one of us could be next.
Yo, 100%. Yeah, it's crazy out in these streets. I was talking to a couple of activists yesterday out of Chicago, and they were telling me how they were shot at with beanbag bullets, how ICE is on top of buildings in Chicago like snipers. It is just pure mayhem. I saw that the Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago, they have now the right to arrest ICE for, doing indecent or illegal things. So I think that this situation just keeps escalating, and different cities are doing whatever they can to combat this. But this thing is totally out of hand, and it's only going to get worse. And I
Mhm.
think tomorrow, when we look at the No Kings protests that are happening all across the country, it's going to be a defining moment to see how this Trump clan responds to an overwhelming response. Millions of people are expected to be out in the streets tomorrow responding to
Mhm.
everything that you just said. So it's going
Mhm.
to be interesting to see how this thing continues to boil.
Yeah, and again, I think it's really going to come down to, like every dictatorship event. The only way this is going to end is an overthrow, and that's just how it happens, unfortunately.
For
um
sure.
one Once one of the most influential, and this is another fallout from all of this, once one of the most influential political groups in the South, the New Georgia Project, is shutting its doors. It's a stunning fall for an organization that pushed to advance democratic causes for more than a decade. The New Georgia Project's board of directors said in a statement yesterday that the organization and an affiliated action fund are both dissolving, but encourage others to continue supporting, quote, values of justice, integrity, and equity that guided their work. So they have thrown in the towel, Niele.
I don't think they've thrown in the towel. It's just they don't have the funding and their resources are, gone. And you're going to see that happening to a lot of nonprofit organizations that get grants, even from like the city and state, because a lot of those times that funding comes from the federal government. And we've already seen that Vogt, who has replaced Elon Musk, has said that he's going to use this shutdown as an opportunity to get rid of a lot of the programs that service the community across these United States. And so this isn't going to be the first organization, unless these organizations have private funding and these private funders are not afraid of this Trump administration. We're going to see a lot more of this.
Yeah, let me just a couple of a few comments that we missed. Good morning, Tommy Patterson, Coach Patterson. But Nancy Wall said Joe Biden never wanted to open the envelope where Trump had opened it and thrown it away. Orange, I'm sorry, expat says the Dems need to actually have a strong candidate. He says his truth or her truth. I don't know if he established that expat was a male or female, but um, is that it was not her, it was not Kamala, but I'm sure there Kamala. It was not sure, but I am sure there is someone that is better. Anybody should have been considered better than what you got. Anybody. Heck,
Yeah,
Mitch McConnell, which we will talk about next, would have been better than Donald Trump.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think
come
that
on.
every politician, every organizer, every organization all say they did not expect this. They expected Trump 1.0. And to, Joe Biden, he had a lot of factors. He was old. But he also did the same thing that every other president did behind him, except Trump. Barack Obama did it too. They followed the traditional presidential playbook. They respected the office,
Mhm.
which Joe Biden had a lot of respect for that office. Nobody anticipated the Klan literally taking over the White
But
House.
Nia,
And
why
that's
not?
what has happened. The
Yeah.
Klan has taken over the White House. And I mean, Jasmine Crockett says it. Hakeem Jeffrey says it. Barack Obama says it. Kamala Harris says it. All of them say, everybody that you were talking about, pick, choose, whatever, They
Mhm.
Kamala Harris would have handled the office pretty much the same way traditionally that all
Mhm.
her predecessors have done. And
So is that
so everybody is just trying to figure out how the F did we get here? How is he
but
able to do this with all of the three different branches of government, which
mhm,
one is supposed to cross check the other? The
mhm.
fourth state, which is media, he had found a way to just blow everything up. Nobody anticipated that.
Well, why didn't they anticipate this? The only person I absolve is Barack Obama, because Barack Obama, when he left office, he campaigned hard for Hillary. He campaigned against Donald Trump. He of course Donald Trump beat Hillary, again an election that's questionable. Donald Trump showed you in term one what he was aiming to do. Then you had Joe Biden, who knew what Trump was aiming to do. Kamala had an all campaign trail that this was coming. So to say that they didn't know, I
Well,
think
she
is a
said it
misnomer.
on her book tour. She said it on her book tour. She didn't
She said
expect
what
it
on
to
that book?
happen.
She didn't expect
That she
this.
didn't
Well, then
expect, yeah, for it to happen
yeah,
so
well, she
quickly.
wasn't reading the room at all. Oh, so quickly. She knew that eventually it was going to happen. Then,
And I think they were thinking of Trump 1.0.
yeah,
This
and
is
that was a
like,
mistake. That's a
they
big
were thinking
on
Trump
us.
1.0.
Right. We saw Project 2025. We talked about it. We reported on it. Others reported on it. It was
Hmm.
out in your face. It was in your
Right,
face.
right.
And we knew that you'd have some house Negroes too, like we have on the chat. You knew that you would have that. Um, and you had to know that this was going to be as bad as you could possibly imagine. You had to know that. That's why she kept saying, like you said, she didn't think it was going to happen so quick. But that's why she
Nobody
kept saying
did.
we can't go back. And I don't
And
understand
you
why they
also
didn't think
think
it would happen so quick, though.
you also thought that maybe Congress, maybe
Hmm.
the Supreme Court justices,
Hmm.
maybe even media, that's the checks and balance of the foundation of this nation.
Right.
Nobody thought that they all would fall in line so efficiently, and in sync. You
Right.
can't find one Republican. I think that plays a huge role into this. It's not just Donald Trump, it's all of the clan that have decided to stand with him. And I think that is the problem. You didn't think that three branches of government and the fourth state, the media, were all going to fall in line with Trump.
Like you said, he blew them all up. And that is maybe the media part. I kind of get that would not have been expected. I mean, you knew he had Fox News. You knew the Cuomo's were going to Chris was going to capitulate big time. He's going to get on his knees and bark like a dog for Trump. You knew that. You could expect that. You knew that Fox and News Nation and all of that stuff was going to be his, but you could not. I guess you could not anticipate that CBS, ABC, all of them was going to bow down.
Mhm.
So I guess that part, but the Supreme Court, no surprise, especially when you got biggest house Negro ever to ever live. He's like bigger than the boy from Unchained, Uncle Thomas over there. You had to expect that he would bend over quickly without much pushing. Um, you had to expect that. And then you got the Tim Scotts of the world and the Byron Donalds, the Butter Biscuits of the world, um, and their type of ideology. Again, you knew that there would be some even black folks, so-called foundational black folks. Like I said, the foundation must have fell on their head and they got a concussion from it and never recovered. But you knew that. But I guess um, you just didn't expect the media. Is all I'm getting at.
Yeah,
You,
I
I
expected
didn't expect.
I didn't expect everybody to fall in line with him in such an exact way, in such an intentional way. I did not expect that. I thought that there would be some members of Congress that would speak out. You know what I mean? And it's just not happening. But that's neither here nor there. I know there was a debate last night in New York, and Mandami he came out looking like what America needs. Okay, you may say Gavin Newsom, you may say whatever, but Mandami was kicking the facts last night, and the way he ate Chris Como up, I'm like,
Yeah,
shoot, you might need to elevate that man right there.
yeah. Chris Cuomo. It's a shame. I used to like Chris Cuomo when he was with Good Morning America.
Mandami ate him up last night from top to bottom. And the things that he were saying, I think, is what America is feeling. And as Trump continues to tear things away, that are services that are provided to American citizens, that they're going to begin to really feel the impact of next month. Mandami is going to look more and more like a national leader.
Yeah. Andrew Cuomo. I thought somehow he was talking to Chris, but you talk about the debate, Andrew. Yeah. Um, the
I mean, if we could play one of the clips from that last night, I mean, it was so juicy. But
the viewer at LMAKHU, I don't know how to pronounce that, says that the major problem is that our own people were lulled into a false sense of stability. We also have generations that don't know or understand the blatant hatred we've experienced in the past. Austin says they fell in line with boy, it's moving fast now. They fell in line with Trump long before the 2024 election. Right. That's the thing. They did long before that. But nonetheless, do we okay, so I don't know if we have a clip from
I
that,
don't think we have a clip, but
but
it
they
was
ate
so
them up.
good. If you could go back and just look at that debate, look at the clips that are going, go to Mandami's page. I mean,
Mhm.
Chris, Andrew, was it Andrew Cuomo? Andrew
Andrew.
Cuomo looks stunned. He looks like a deer in headlights. Like, I don't even know how to respond to, because he was kicking facts. He
Right.
was kicking facts, and he couldn't deny it. It was a beautiful thing to see.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Chris Coleman, we get it. Michael
We get
Carter,
it.
Andrew is the politician. Chris,
Then look, at
listen,
this
they're
point,
all the
they're one
same
and
at
the
this
same,
point.
right?
They all the
Because
same.
I used to like Chris Como. I used to love him and Don Lemon on CNN, but he has totally flipped.
Well, he's shown his privilege. He's living in his privilege now, and now I get. You know, he's one of those folks that makes me understand Greer and her decisions and her talk about the homeless white man. She now I understand. Now I get it. Now I get
Mhm.
it. So anyway, LMAKHU says folks who are in shock are getting a reality check. I'm not shocked. I'm disgusted, but not shocked.
Mhm.
I get it. Yeah. And can someone say term limits, Niele? Because Mitch McConnell, Michael Harriet did a great post on social media about Mitch McConnell's fall. Michael Harriet put a picture of the floor and said that police have identified the subject who assaulted Mitch McConnell, and he had a picture of the floor. But he fell again, folks. He fell again. It's the latest in a series of medical episodes for the 83-year-old politician. Down goes Mitch. Come on, this guy should not be there.
I think Kev on stage, if you guys follow him, oh my God, he did a funny bit on him too. But I know I posted, it was the two black men that pulled him up for me. That was like two black men, one to the left, one to the right, had to help the man up.
I didn't even
And,
notice.
and as you see, I put happy 30th anniversary of the Million Man March, because it happened to two black men had to pick him up and get him on his way. The
I didn't
same
even
two
notice
black
that.
men that he's probably whose families he's probably going along with, taking all of their rights, taking all of their benefits, and two black men.
I didn't even know. Of
Two
course, you
black
would
men
notice that. Power to the people. But
had to help him up.
Nancy Wall says, "Will someone please pull his card?" Coach Patterson says, "Fell over an invisible line." And okay, so our homegirl says her name is Emaku. Oh, I like that, Emaku. All right, I like that. Austin says, someone said prayers and stairs, and Michael Carter says, "OMG!" And the irony that the black Capitol Police officer, yes, Neil, and the black staffer, and yes, Nancy, he probably called them boy. Exactly.
Right. You
Oh
know.
gosh. Let's lighten it up a bit, folks. If that wasn't light enough, it's a Taste of Soul time now in its 20th year. The Taste of Soul is the largest free one-day street festival and food festival in California, serving millions of attendees on historic Crenshaw Boulevard. I had a chance to talk on the phone yesterday with Danny Bakewell Sr., who said, Stacy, I can't wait to Sunday because Saturday is the event. Sunday, he'll get a chance to rest.
Yeah, today we're all headed out to Crenshaw and Obama actually this morning at 7:30, where Mr. Bakewell will be honored with the street dedication. Right, like I could walk to it right on. So we're headed there this morning at 7:30 to celebrate him. And yeah, it's like it's the biggest festival, one day free festival in LA. Never any type of problems happen.
So we talked about, yep.
It is policed by the Nation of Islam. Well, security is provided by the Nation of Islam. And it's such a beautiful day to see because the Nation of Islam is at the forefront and the police fall back. And the police do not engage with us at all. The first responders are the Nation of Islam. And I think that is an example of what public safety should look like in our communities. We should be able to protect ourselves. And so, yeah, things kick off this morning with well, he is a doctor as well, Dr. Bakewell. And then everything will just fold into tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's funny because yesterday we were talking about the anniversary of the Million Man March, and one of the things that I liked that our guest was talking about was how
Baba
Akili is how you had a million plus on that National Mall, and they cleaned up. They made sure that it was clean before. And then when they left, they made sure that they cleaned up, and there was no incidents or whatever. And Mr. Bakewell and I was talking yesterday, and he was saying, that is it's a family reunion. This Taste of Soul, and there's never any incidents. And you cited the Fruit of Islam being in charge of security. That was the same thing with the Million Man March.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see at the end of the night at 7:00, when the festival is being shut down. There's like maybe
how far back that crowd goes. Yeah,
at its peak, it's had over 300,000 at its peak during the course of the day. It takes maybe about 20 blocks, starting at Obama with Stevie Wonder's radio station KGLH. They have a stage. You have the Brenda March Mitchell gospel stage. And a funny fact, there probably would be no Taste of Soul without the collaboration of Kathy Hughes and Radio One. Because I've been there since the first one. I was working at Radio One at the time, and it was a partnership between Radio One and the LA Sentinel. And it wouldn't have happened without two Black women, so to say, Kathy Hughes and Brenda March Mitchell. Brenda March Mitchell was Mr. Bakewell's right hand, and most things move because of her. And so she has a stage, which is the gospel stage. And then the other anchor stage, of course, is the Bakewell Media stage. But it is a full-blown community event. It brings all agencies. And then, all of the politicians come. Every politician, every Black politician in LA County shows up. And so, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful community day. This is the 20th anniversary. And so right now, they're right in front of the Sentinel right now at 5:00 in the morning. With the mini Taste of Soul. And then, they close down Crenshaw at about midnight. And Mr. Bakewell's son, Danny Jr., does a 24-hour shift. And, it's just a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day that brings the community together. That's Marquise Harris Dawson, who is the president of the LA City Council. And like I said this morning, Heather Hunt, that's Marquise Harris Dawson. And he is one of the people that they're looking at to take Maxine Waters' spot. Just a little tip for you. And so there he is right there. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and he's very close, and came up under Karen Bass. And so it's just, it's a lot, it's a day of like all the reparations folks gonna be out, Black Lives Matter gonna be out. Tomorrow's going to be interesting though, because it's going to be split, because I know a lot of people are headed over to the No Kings protest as well. So we've already talked about, we're going to go to Taste Soul, then we're going to head over to the No Kings parade, and then we'll probably head back. So LA is going to be popping tomorrow. But everybody should definitely be on their P's and Q's, because we know we have white terrorists out there who would love the opportunity to cause mayhem.
Mike V says the safest gathering of the 20th century was by black men. Yep, the Million Man March, and of course this. Again, like she says, as much as 350,000 folks show up on Crenshaw in that area there for the Taste of Soul every year, and that's always a safe gathering of
If you want to find Black
black
LA,
folks.
if you want to find Black LA, if you want to find Black LA County, it'll be in October at Taste of Soul. That's
Tomorrow,
the only
folks.
day we come together as one.
It's tomorrow, and folks come from all over, and not just LA, but it is an LA thing. But make no mistake about it. But folks come from all over for Taste of Soul. So 20 years, congratulations to the Bakewell family.
And to the
that's a
LA
great thing,
community
and to the
too.
LA community. Yep.
Yeah, because it wouldn't happen. It would not happen
And like you said,
without
Kathy
the
Hughes.
agencies and things like that. And Radio One is not in LA anymore. And that's when Stevie Wonder's radio station, KJLH, came in. And shout out to Ron Turner, because he's been there since day one too. He started with Miss Brenda with Taste of Soul, and now he's over at KJLH. And so he handles, the KJLH stage. But this is truly a community event, and it wouldn't happen without the city of LA, the county of LA, the Nation of Islam, the trash services, the Baldwin Hills Mall. This when you have these weekly meetings and you have over 100 people from different agencies across LA County sitting at the table trying to make an event that is beautiful for the community, it's an awesome thing to see. So congratulations to everybody, and happy birthday to Mr. Beckwell, because it's always around his birthday.
Yeah, he's turning 80. Wow. Like the chat to give us some feedback on this next item. I just thought we'd have a little, maybe some fun, if you will. But with the predicament of black folks in America, I thought we'd revisit Paul Mooney's classic, hilarious, and almost serious take on Africans. I don't know if we have the clip, but if we have the clip, it would be better for us to play that. There we go. Is that it? That's not it. Okay. So basically, what he said is that Africans, he says, I can't stand Africans. He says, I don't like Africans because they have attitude. He says, they have attitude toward us and they act like they mad at us. He says, but you got it twisted. We are mad at you. We waited and nobody came for us. He called them punks, and he said any other race would have declared war on America and asked for their people back. He said Africans wrote us off like a bad check. Then they gonna go show up 400 years later with a briefcase full of watches. He says, I don't need no watch. I know what time it is. But the point, Niele, he was making, and I gave it some thought after listening to this. I came across people, for some reason, Paul Mooney is dominating on my timeline, and this came up. Yeah, I don't know why. But the part where he said that Africans, anybody else would have came for their people when they American and Great Britain took our people and brought us over here. Anybody else would have came for them. He's like, okay. He says, he's like, where were you? Where were you? And Imaku says it's truth.
Yeah, for sure. I always have this conversation with J. Anthony Brown about what like a Paul Mooney or Dick Gregory or Richard Pryor's comedy live in today's time with the cancel culture and people's feeling so hurt. But I had the honor of hosting Paul Mooney as well as Dick Gregory at the J Spot. And when I tell you, baby,
I know.
I mean, the knowledge in just the comedy, the
Mhm.
knowledge of self and of black pride within the jokes was just an awesome thing to see. I wish we could get Rudy. I hope Rudy is okay. Rudy managed Paul Mooney. And he was responsible for him and his caregiver up until his death. And then the Mooney twins. Like, if we ever want to talk about Paul Mooney, we definitely can get his sons, the Mooney twins, to come on
Mhm.
to talk about their dad. But Paul Mooney was one of a kind.
He was.
But it'll just be interesting to see if him and Dick Gregory, which I still think they would speak truth to power regardless, and they would make jokes about cancel culture. But today's climate is just so scary for comedians right now. And they're very hesitant to talk about current issues because of
Mhm.
this cancel culture.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to see Paul Mooney way back. He opened up. I went to the filming of Eddie Murphy's Raw, and he opened up for Eddie Murphy on
Hmm.
that tour. Um, Oren G says he has a point. African nations didn't care about Black Americans. Mike V is asking which Africans, those states that you see now, did not exist during slavery. They existed after the fact, is what he's saying. Michael Carter says that's an interesting question to ponder. If they had the resources and power to do so, why did they leave us here? And Michael, I'm with you. I'm like, we keep hearing about the Mandingo warriors. Well, how come they didn't get on a ship themselves, a bunch of them, and say, we coming for our people? And Claudette Perry, she says she loved Paul Mooney. Paul would not feel accomplished at any of his shows until a white person walked out.
Yes.
She said, I don't even know why they even.
But you
That's
know what?
hilarious.
But you know what? When we had, like, we produced like 4 shows for him, and it was
Uh-huh.
full of white people, him and Dick Gregory. I mean,
And white folks walked out.
what? No, they didn't. They didn't walk out. You know, they might have turned red while they were laughing. I mean,
Pink.
red as a beet. But you know, it was interesting to see
That's
how many
hilarious.
white people came to Inglewood. You know,
Right.
because it was traditionally a black comedy club, the J Spot. But when you had like a Paul Mooney or Dick Gregory, I mean, tons of white people, they came out the woodworks because they knew what he was saying was true and it was funny. And they was like, well, he's not really talking to me, but I am embarrassed for my people.
Man, that's hilarious. So that's what his goal was. Make sure that he told it like it was to the point where white folks just got mad and it was like, I'm out.
Hmm.
She says, I've seen him several times, and I've seen him several times, and when they walk out, he say, there they
There they
go.
go.
Oh man. Well, what else you got this morning, Niele?
So some good news. Some people are standing up to the Trump administration. So far, USC, Brown University, University of Pennsylvania, and MIT have announced they will not sign Trump's Compact for Academic Pledge. Now, the Trump White House has said any higher education institution unwilling to assume accountability and confront these overdue and necessary reforms will find itself without future government and taxpayers' support. But you know, I'm glad they said no. They have enough donations and enough big time donors to sustain them. And so they said, no, we're not going to tell our students they cannot protest. We are not going to decrease our acceptance of foreign students. And you could take your compact and shove it. It's basically what they've
I
told
like
Donald Trump.
I like that. I'm seeing more and more schools say no.
Yeah, it was 10. I
I
think it
like.
was like 10, 9 to 10 schools. And so
Yeah.
far, these are the four that have, some have said, you know, they're not, but they have officially sent Donald Trump a letter and said, no, thank you. Take your
Mm.
compact and shove it.
Yeah, yeah. And Claudia Perry says, plus the benefactors of Brown owned slaves.
Hmm.
There you
Talk
have it.
about that.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but the impact of this shutdown and what the Trump plan is doing internally is really going to impact folks in November. Here in LA County, messages are being sent out to SNAP recipients saying, due to federal shutdown, CalFresh benefits may not be available in November.
Like I said, what Jim Crow type stuff gonna happen today? It's always something. But you know what we did forget, Niele, before we forget totally. It is before your next item. It is Happy Swag T-shirt Day, and RNG has the Southern University today. He's rocking Southern University, and I got a Nashville shirt. It's not sweater. It's not HBCU, but it's in honor when I was in Nashville for the BlackPressUSA annual convention a couple of years ago. Nashville to represent our newspaper there.
Nice, nice.
And what you got? Come on, no nice. What you got?
Oh, I just have on a Black is Beautiful t-shirt.
Black is beautiful. There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, shout out to Orange G for keeping Swag Friday going.
Yep.
And as I was talking about SNAP, I think we're talking about what is being sent out here in LA, but this shutdown is allowing the Trump administration to really expound on things like this, because a new rule from Trump's big ugly bill could cause problems for people under 64 receiving SNAP. Now, the news impacts what they're calling as able-bodied individuals with no dependents. So applicants will be required to certify that they will work up to 80 hours a month. If they fail to meet these standards, they can only receive benefits for 3 months. And this is according to Black Enterprise. So you kind of see how it's going. You're going to have to, they'll cancel your benefits, and then you'll have to reapply. And then you'll fall under all of the new rules from this big ugly bill that we really don't know the details of. And this is one of the impacts of it. They're calling it, I just thought that was so funny. Able-bodied individuals.
How can anybody Black say anything positive?
How can anybody white? How can anybody white? How can anybody?
I know it's true.
And how can anybody Latino? How can anybody, not just Black folks, but anybody, especially if these resources are going to impact you? How could anybody? And that's what it's going to take everybody. It's that's why I see with the no protest, the no King's Day, they're not even talking to us. They trying to mobilize their people. And they hope we show up, but they're not even talking to us because they understand this is bigger than a Black person's fight.
Oh, is that? Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, stepping on your toes there. But did you see? Speaking of SNAP, the story out of Detroit, a young Black mother of 2,
that was making cakes.
She used, of course, her SNAP benefits to buy cake mix, and she was selling. She was baking and selling cakes. They have charged her with, among other things, welfare fraud, and she faces up to 10 years in prison. And they offered her a plea deal. This is, you talk about somebody who's really standing on business, because she says she followed all the rules. She didn't do nothing wrong. They offered her a plea deal in which she would get, not only would she not get jail time, but she wouldn't have this on her record. I guess the punishment would be that she would lose her benefits. But she rejected the plea deal. And now if she gets convicted at trial, she can get 10 years in prison. But how outrageous is that? So you're telling me that this enterprising young woman decides, okay, she's getting SNAP benefits. There's nothing wrong with buying cake mix, which SNAP benefits, at least from what I understand. There's no guidelines against that. You can't buy cake mix. Otherwise, I guess the store wouldn't have sold it to her. And so she decides to sell cakes. Am I missing something, Niele? I mean, correct.
Well, I mean, as far as I see, going back up to what they said, able bodies. I mean, she's putting in her 80 hours a month.
There you go.
She's a baker.
There you go.
Is a baker. And she's
Right.
putting it, maybe we need to send her attorney this new big ugly bill clause, because that, to me, that's 80 hours. I'm in my kitchen baking. I'm gonna sell these cakes, a day's work for a day's pay. I thought that's what you was talking about, Trump. I thought
And
that's what we
yes,
was talking about.
uh,
We were trying to be self-sufficient.
right.
So,
And me, yep. As Mike V says, meanwhile, Favre has never faced any consequences for his involvement in the alleged welfare fraud there in Mississippi. What was it, 90 something million in total that the state said was siphoned off of welfare by
Mhm.
these wealthy people. And there's a young
Yeah.
lady in Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, white privilege is so real. It's so real.
That's what I
Um,
said. I've learned now not to no longer laugh at Greer and her decision to bypass homeless white people on the street.
for sure, for sure. Um, for 100%. Um, and so let's talk about Snoop Dogg for a minute. It looks like Snoop has had a change of heart, y'all. He has added the queer characters to his animated children's series Doggyland, which is available on YouTube and YouTube Kids. Now, the new content includes a song titled Love is Love in partnership with the queer advocacy group GLAD. Now, the episode also includes a song and visuals that celebrate diversity in families, showing pups with two fathers and two mothers. Now, the lyrics state, our parents are different, no two are the same, but the one thing that is for certain is the love won't change. So Snoop has gone from going to the movies with his grandchildren and saying, no, what is going on, to now embracing
Wait a minute.
GLAD and incorporating queer
Oh my
community in his
gosh,
cartoon.
Snoop, 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 Snoop. First and foremost, before I even address the Snoop thing, let me just quickly address X-Pac. No, I didn't say I advocate anything. I said I'm not going to argue with my producer about her decision to not give anything to white men. So let's be clear. But nonetheless, I'm not going to go back. I'm going to go forward. Snoop is either, and I'm not even gonna go either or. I'm gonna go this way with Snoop. That was a marketing ploy from the beginning, wasn't it? That whole movie stunt with his was his
No,
nephews or grand
I
no,
think that Snoop is just trying to, he don't want no problems. He don't want no
Snoop don't want
problems.
problems.
Mm-mm.
He got
I don't
99
want no
problems and this
problems.
won't be one of them.
His son is younger. They probably told him, Pops,
Niele,
Eh,
Mike V said for shizzle, Niele.
yeah, I think that he didn't want no problems. I think that he was very authentic when he responded the way that he did. Like what? And now that
This
he's
is
gotten all this backlash, and his kids are probably like,
yeah.
Dad, and his team was like, here. And guess what? Now,
Let me tell you
problem
something.
solved.
Snoop Dogg is probably quietly the most brilliant entrepreneur to ever come through the hip hop community. Ever. This guy is amazing. He's amazing. He's
Right.
amazing. He's absolutely amazing. How many
Mhm.
times has this guy reinvented himself?
And
I,
without reinventing himself, he still
without we
smokes
right
weed.
because he's
Smoke
still
weed every
right.
day. Still smokes weed every day. Gets high as a kite. I get high, high, high. Snoop gets
I
high
mean,
every day. He
every
has
day,
not
every
changed
day,
at all. He has not changed at his core of who he
right?
is.
But I mean the whole the Martha Stewart stuff. This
He's
guy is
getting
just
her high. He's getting Martha
and
high.
getting Martha Stewart high. Martha Stewart went to the penitentiary and said, "I know who to call."
you know and most people can't, like, look, Dave Chappelle, he still gets smoke from GLAD in the queer
Mhm.
community. Snoop was able to take those lemons and make some lemon cartoons, for the kids, and it's sweet, and everybody, and now he's interviewing with GLAD, has the man from GLAD singing the song, and now he's back in their favor and grace.
This guy is, for somebody who smokes weed so much, he is brilliant. Maybe I
Michael
need to.
says I'm giving him the side eye.
I hear you, Michael. Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
That,
so Snoop has once again come back from, he had a bounce back from doing the inauguration.
has he ever
Ne-
come through and did a comedy stand up at one of your clubs?
Yeah, he actually, and Snoop is a good tipper. Snoop tipped me $500.
Okay.
We were at the J Spot, and at the time he was producing comedian Red Grant. Red Grant is out of DC. Red Grant did a music album, and he did a comedy show, and so he did it at the J Spot. It was executive produced by Percy, Big Percy, and Snoop. Snoop came through, did 2 shows, ordered a shrimp and seafood platter. I bought it to him. And at the end of the night, he tipped me $500. I was like, my
And
man,
you didn't even have to smoke any weed with him.
I have smoked no weed.
Wow.
I have to, he's just a great guy. Okay. His compound is right. It was right around, is right around the corner from where the J Spot used to be. He's right in the center over there between Inglewood and Westchester. Just a great guy. Now, he didn't tell no jokes, but
Oh,
Red
okay.
Grant told all the jokes, but he did come and he kicked it at the J Spot. Sure did.
Okay. Claudette Perry says Snoop probably has a gay grandchild. And Dr. Nicole says, and he's headed back to the Olympics too. Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, he's everywhere.
no, actually, Mike V, I will not be at Houston at Afrotech. I won't. But that is a bucket list of mine.
Oh, okay.
And yes, you have forgotten him and Nelly at the inauguration too. Yep, we have. He has, because he said that he did it for the community, and Snoop does invest a lot in the community here. I mean, he has his football league. He has this annual turkey drive. I mean, he does give back to the community in ways that he never even talks about. So, I
Yeah,
don't know.
X-Pac, we didn't avoid your comments, X-Pac. I read your last comment. I can't find another one except he says, "Nice to see you avoid my comments." No, we're not avoiding your comments. We don't do that.
No, you tune in from far away. We appreciate you. You
Yeah, we
make us
appreciate you.
worldwide.
There you go.
And in more news, the passing of D'Angelo has reignited a love and appreciation for his music. Nearly 30 years after Brown Sugar was released, guess what, y'all? It's back on the Apple Music charts, reaching number 7 on overall U.S. charts, and he's now number 1 on the R&B and soul, while his Voodoo album enters at number 10. So I think some people are discovering the greatness of D'Angelo, while those of us who know his music have just been vibing to it all week.
Mhm. Well, Imiku, no, it's not a short memory on my part. I mean, Niele has explained why she thinks Snoop did what he did, why she feels he did what he did for the community. I do not excuse anybody doing anything with and for Donald Trump. He and Nelly, I've crossed them off my to listen to list a long time ago, but can at the same time can appreciate that this guy, and can give him his props that Snoop is like an amazing businessman. Doesn't mean I like him or I like what he did, and we'll never forget that. So
Well, I
that's
don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Snoop, and everybody makes decisions that, for whatever reasons, they do. I don't have a problem with them.
yeah.
And moving on, after selling out almost immediately, Mattel is bringing back the Aaliyah Barbie doll
Right.
to honor the late princess of R&B. When it first came out, it sold out within 24 hours, and so they're bringing it back. So if you want to
Exciting.
get one, head on over to Mattel. And check out when they're dropping. And yes, RIP to D'Angelo and to baby girl Aaliyah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
finally, speaking of women of R&B, Brandy and Monica kicked off their The Boy Is Mine
The boy
tour
is mine.
last night to a sold out house in Cincinnati. And of course, Kelly Rowland is also on that tour. And so the ladies brought it. Their fashion was excellent. They look gorgeous. They brought the funk, and it looks like they are sharing the main headline set. So kind of like SZA and Kendrick Lamar. It's not like you go first, then I go. It's like they're combining their sets to where, but into like maybe on the Run tour, Jay-Z and Beyonce. I do my set, I'm gonna go change, you come out, then you go change, and then I come out. So it looks like it's a perfect combination.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Mike V says he wishes the Black Press would host a panel about Black men and health disparities. So many Black men are dying before 60. We do have those panels at our conferences, Mike. Perhaps we can arrange something more public. What else you got, Niele?
Oh, those are your headlines for
Those
today.
are our headlines. Okay, some black facts, folks. On this date in 1888, Capital Savings Bank, the first bank organized and operated by African Americans, was organized in Washington, D.C. Capital Savings helped stimulate black entrepreneurship by offering loans to black owned businesses and landowners when white owned banks would not. Confidence in the bank continued to grow, and by 1892, deposits were estimated at $300,000. Although Capital Savings Bank closed its doors in 1902, it became a model for other Black owned banks across the country.
Hmm. Important information and history to know. Also, we're going to fast forward to 2006. On this day, Stevie Wonder received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Civil Rights Museum. So well deserved. We know that he is in part why Dr. King has a national holiday. Thank God we did it before now. And also, as footage was flooding my timeline yesterday of different memories from the Million Man March, Stevie Wonder's picture appeared a lot because he
Mhm.
was also at the Million Man March. So, you know, we're still celebrating Black men. We're going to celebrate Black men all weekend. But yesterday was a beautiful thing to see. So many Black men decided to dig into their crates and pull out those memories and even remind themselves of what they felt like that day. And their expressions yesterday were beautiful to see.
And I saw a picture of Will Smith at the Million Man March. I didn't know he was
Yeah,
at the Million Man
MC
March.
Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many hip hop artists were at the Million Man March, and a lot of that had to do with the organizing of our very own Dr. Ben Chavis. So shout out to
Yeah.
Dr. Chavis as well.
And one more comment I'm going to read is from Dr. Joni, since I haven't read a comment from her in a bit. Dr. Joni says that she and it, look, soon as I start reading hers, others start popping up. But she says she's excited for No Kings this weekend, but also anxious over ICE violent threats. She says, "Everyone, please do what you can peacefully and take such good care of yourselves and each other." Our Black-owned newspaper of the
Oh wait,
day.
I just want to say to what Dr. Joni is saying is that is so true. I'm excited too, Dr. Joni. I can't wait to get out there. But a couple of quick notes: if you are going to the protest, they're saying don't bring ID. Don't bring. They're saying bring a mask, right? In case stuff. Bring something to protect your eyes. And Black folks is telling people other Black folks to stay in the middle because you know they're gonna come for us first. You know, if they
I don't
come.
understand the no ID thing because that is a dangerous thing to not carry ID now.
Well, I think in the situations like, you know, based upon what protesters are experiencing and things like that. And remember, you brought up the ID, and
Mhm.
they said so. They're saying don't bring ID, um, and you
Mm.
know, wear a mask, you know, just in case, or bring a mask just in case. You know, they throw tear gas. They're telling you to bring things to protect your eyes. Let somebody know when you're going, let
Mm.
somebody know when you plan to leave and where you're at all times. So basically, just share your location with a family member so that they can
Yeah.
always know where you are at all times.
All right. The Black-owned newspaper of the day is the Capital Outlook. The Capital Outlook is South Florida, in South Florida, I should say, is the leading publication for mature and forward-thinking African Americans. Each issue of the weekly newspaper is devoted to journalism that makes a difference and fosters change. The Capital Outlook, folks, check them out.
And for the latest in Black news, a lot going on this weekend. You want to definitely put at the top of your watch list, BlackPressUSA.com.
Happy Friday and happy weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Thanks for joining.